Here we are at the Hatitude Ball in 2013, and we are with Mr. Bob Wade. Bob, what do you think about the Hatitude Ball?
Well, I think it's good. I like it.
Do you think it makes an impression on Hollister and, teaches them what's going on?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell us exactly what you do here in the community.
Well, I really don't do a whole lot anymore. I'm too old to work to help or do anything, but I've been here all my life.
Didn't you used to own In-N-Out?
Yes,
Okay.
I built In-N-Out.
Okay, you built the In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Yes. And you also had children that went to Hollister, am I correct?
Yeah, I had a daughter and a son.
Okay.
Went to Hollister, and I got 2 granddaughters here going to Hollister.
All right, good school. That was my school too, so it's a great school. So anyway, now I know Mrs. Wade has gone on to be with God, correct?
Do what, ma'am?
Mrs. Wade has gone on to be with God?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I loved her. She was a sweet lady. But you remember who my grandparents were, don't you?
I don't know. Now, who was he?
Ella and Austin Macomb.
Oh, well, Lord, yes.
That was my grandparents.
Lord, yes, I remember him.
Yes. Well, sir, we thank you very much,
Okay.
and we hope you have a good time here at the ball, and hope these little granddaughters learn something.
Okay, thank you.
Nice talking
Thank
to
you.
At the Hatitude Ball of 2013 at beautiful C of O in Hollister, Missouri. And we are with
Alexis Shields.
Alexis. How long have you lived in Hollister?
About a year and a half.
And what actually brought you to Hollister?
Just the environment. I knew that I wanted to come to College of the Ozarks. I'm a student here. And so I just really liked the area and liked the things that C of O offered to me.
And what year are you in?
I'm a senior, so I transferred in. Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Okay, well, this is also my hometown. I was born in Hollister.
Excellent.
And my grandparents worked here at C of O. If you go in the museum and go in Dr. Todd's part of the museum, there's a man in a greasy overalls. That was my grandpa.
Oh, very nice.
But thank you for the interview. And,
Absolutely.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
And good luck on what you do after you graduate. And tell everybody about C of O.
Thank you very much. C of O is just a great institution. I'm glad that I get to come here and graduate completely debt-free. It's a great relief to me and both my family as well.
Well, congratulations, and I hope whatever you're going to do in the future, you'll do it right, and everybody be ready to welcome you with open arms.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Hello. We are here at the Hatitude Ball 2013 at the beautiful campus of the C of O, and we are with Matthew. Matthew, I can't believe that's you. How is your family?
They're doing great. They can't make it tonight, unfortunately, but we're excited, ready for a really good event tonight. My team actually helped with a class. We were in charge of sort of coordinating a lot of the decorations and the different things happening tonight, so we're excited to get started.
Well, you did beautiful. Now, what do you think of C of O itself? I mean, I know you wasn't born here, but what do you think of the campus and what do you think of the people? And just give us a little idea of what do you think C of O is to you?
Sure, absolutely. I really love it. Honestly, when I first was considering going to colleges, this was kind of a place that I thought of first, since I have sort of been in the area a little bit. And so now that I've started here, I love it so much. The small campus provides for a great community, and also because we're kind of in smaller classrooms, it gives us the opportunity to do different things like this, where we're actually taking what we learn in the classroom and we're really getting to kind of apply it to real life situations. And so like this particular class that we're doing, we wouldn't maybe have this opportunity to plan a real event at a different school. And so I'm so grateful to C of O and to the opportunities that we have here for sure.
Now, would you recommend this to whoever's about to start college?
Absolutely, I would. I mean, it's a great opportunity. You're just working for your education. You're going completely debt-free. You can graduate debt-free just by putting in your hours. And a lot of times we have a lot of different workstations on campus, and so you actually eventually have the opportunity to work up to one that has to do with your major. So it's almost like you're doing an internship, and it counts for your school tuition. So it's the best deal in the country, I think.
Well, Matthew, we thank you very much for the interview, and we hope you have a good time at the ball, and very good seeing you, and give your family our love.
Will do. Thank you so much.
God bless. Hello, here we are at the Hatitude Ball of 2013, and we are talking to
Anna Pleak from Tulsa.
Clarence Pleak.
From Tulsa.
Bleak. My grandmother was your best friend, Ella Macomb.
Oh, really?
Yes, I remember your name very well. Okay. But anyway, now you two are originally from Hollister, am I correct?
Well, there's a little mix-up there. Yes, I was born and raised here. She's from Oklahoma. Virginia Nevins was my first wife, and she died in 1995. And she was a good friend of your whole family.
I remember her name, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what do you think of Hollister?
Well, I think it's a wonderful place. It's a town of mostly just residents, no stores. And I think this is a great way to live.
I agree. I remember Grandpa talking about you, and that's been years ago. But my Grandma and Grandpa both are in heaven now, but I'm sure if they're looking down, they're going, oh, I know those guys. But anyway, so did you go to school out here at C of O when it was a school?
No, I worked there when it was a high school, and I went to school at Hollister. I graduated in 1938 over there, and your grandfather and I were pretty close friends. My Uncle Allen had a service station down there just close to where the spirit shop is now. That was what?
Mr. Joe Daly?
Oh, he bought it from Uncle Allen. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were good friends all those years.
Well, we thank you for talking with us, and we hope you enjoy the ball. Nice talking to you again.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Everybody to this lovely event, the Hatitude Ball. I've seen lots of wonderful outfits and some incredible hats. And of course, with the hat that you're wearing is the attitude you're carrying. So I'm liking what I see. I would also like to welcome some of the youngsters that have been in Hollister for many, many years. Some will speak later on this evening. And then I would like to also thank some of the younger youngsters that are here, and hopefully they'll learn a little bit about the history of Hollister. But we have a lot of things that we want to do, and we're going to recognize a few of the people. But one of the first things that I would like to do is just mention that there are going to be a few speakers. I'll not mention their names just yet, but we will get around to that. And we do have the entertainment that will be provided by the Peterson Family Band. And they're going to do a fantastic job. But what I would like to do right now, if I could, get a round of applause, I'd like to introduce, representing Empire District Electric, the Power Site Den, Mr. Tom Snyder. He has a presentation, so if you can give him a hand, get him up here. All right, Tom, how are you this lovely evening? Wonderful. Did you want to talk a little bit about your hat, what kind of a attitude you have?
Well, just a little bit maybe.
Okay.
As I was putting pictures together for this thing tonight, and I noticed that a lot of the workers in the turn of the century, or I guess 1911 and 12 when they were building the dam, had a lot of, about everything you seen was white long sleeve shirts and either bib overalls or the suspenders. And that's what they wore to work all the time. And I can remember my grandfather, he didn't work on the dam, but that's what he wore to work, long white sleeve shirts.
Well, you fit the part well, so I'm going to turn everything over to Tom, and y'all enjoy.
There's here, Slicker. It's right there. I see it.
That's what I brought.
Like we said, my name's Tom Snyder. I'm the plant manager, they call it now, at Ozark Beach Dam. Most everybody in the country around here knows it as Power Site. In fact, it's funny, you can go to Forsyth to this day and tell them you work at Ozark Beach and they don't have a clue where Ozark Beach is. If you tell them Power Site, oh yeah, we know where that is. So, in studying that a little bit, as far as I know, it's always been known as far as the licensings and all the federal government and all that. I guess it just, power site stuck with it because that's what it was known to begin with. I have worked and was the plant manager there for the last 35 years. The dam this year, and that's one of the reasons we're celebrating it here at the Hatitude, is 100 years old. And I would take this time right here before we get started to plant a seed. We're having a birthday party. The Empire's going to throw a birthday party for the dam on June the 7th, which is that I bump elbows with all the time that sure would like to see it, but they aren't going to let me do that. But you're invited to come, and we'd like for you to do that. What you're going to see tonight is kind of a mixture of things. We're going to show you some of the building of the dam. Rick brought me some pictures over that you guys had that I've included in some of those and some of this. And then there's also a book called Camp Ozark that Ben Parnell put together. Ben, old Ben as I call him, was the purchasing agent for the dam when Ozark Power and Water Company built it. He had the idea of putting together a picture book of the building of the dam and then selling it after the dam was built, you know, just to raise funds or make money or however you want to say that. And it's called Camp Ozark. And some of the things that you'll see, pictures in this as we go through, is out of the book Camp Ozark. If you want to see, there's like 101 pictures in that book. If you want to see that as you get home, if you'll Google Camp Ozark Power Site Dam, the Missouri Historic Society has put it on their web, and it's really interesting to watch how they did it, but you'll get a little bit of feel. And then the other things that we've done is we've shown some of the floods of the history of the dam, flood in 16 and 23 and 45 and 08 and 11 here recently. And then some of the construction of the dam. The Camp Ozark book had a lot of that, but then we've kind of added things along through the years. We've changed turbines out, we've put gates on top and all that, so you'll see that. So here we go. This is the act of Congress that allowed us to build the dam. The company that built it was called Ozark Power and Water Company. They were financed to start with from all of Missouri concerned St. Louis bankers. As they went through buying the land that they were going to have to flood with the dam, they spent quite a bit of money. And as they got just about to the point ready to build the dam, the St. Louis bankers decided they were spending too much money and started to back out. So they, Emerson Hydraulic Company is the one that they had decided to build the dam, therefore it's an Emerson dam. Said, hey, we know a company in New York that will finance this and we'll keep going. And so the Henry Doherty Company came in and financed the building of Power Site. Doherty was tied to city service. His family owned city service. If you, any of you are as old as I am, you kind of remember city service gas and city service this. But anyway, then they started the building of the thing. Here's one that we got from Mayor Tate. That I think you've got a copy on your table of where the president actually signed that act of Congress that I showed you a second ago to allow the building of it. It's kind of interesting that it had to be approved by the Secretary of the Army. It was before the Army Corps of Engineers. It was the Secretary of the Army that approved the building of it. Here's a 1913 Taney County Republican that tells about the building of the dam that I've got in our files at the dam. It's really an interesting read. There was the White River before the building of the dam, and you can started to see they were starting to dig down to the solid rock to build a dam on in that picture. And this is Power Site Bluff. These came from Rick also. If you've been in the dam, you know there's a real steep bluff. And Mr. Epps and I were talking about Red Range walking up and down that bluff to work every day. He lived in Power Site. That's how he got to work. Another picture of that. There was quite a bit of material that had to be brought. The closest public transportation, as you can imagine, was the railroad. It came into Hollister and Branson. This is one of the modes of doing that. John Scott was telling me a while ago his mother, when she was basically a toddler, rode in wagons back and forth to Branson to the dam, to haul cement to the dam. And I think Rod's grandfather had done the same thing. So quite a challenge to get the materials to build the dam to the dam. The next few pictures are out of the Camp Ozark book that we talked about. This was the river before it was built also. And I'll just run through them. You can kind of tell what they are without me explaining. Survey. This was before OSHA, I'm sure of it. All the workers that worked at building the dam, really, they hired everybody they could hire that lived in Taney County at the time that was willing to work and could work and didn't have enough workers to build the dam. At one time they had almost 1,000 people working on the dam. And I don't know what the population of the county would have been back then, but not a whole lot more than that, I don't think. And so in the reading, they talked about bringing quite a few immigrants like Italians and different nationalities that were starting to migrate to our country again to help them build the dam. And so they had a big tent city, and they talked about bunkhouses that you could rent a place with a bunk and a place, a locker at the end of it for 25 cents a night to be able to live there and work. They had their own school, had a teacher, they had their own water supply. It was quite a community. See, excavating, coffer dams. The toe of the dam being seeded into the rock. How they mix their concrete. Always thought that was an interesting picture, in that if somebody like a John Scott or something, they recognize, a grandfather or something in some of this stuff. We're just finishing the dam part of it, had to finish the powerhouse, and you're seeing the date at the bottom is February 20th. You're seeing starting to lower the last block in to start raising the dam. In reading, there was a pretty good debate on how long it would take to fill the lake, fill Taney Como after they got the dam built. And I guess what we call a toad trailer, and it filled in 48 hours. Now, if you're a structural engineer or civil engineer, you know that's not too awful good on your concrete to take that kind of weight that quick. You'd rather see it come a lot more gradual than that. So they talked about the guy that was the chief engineer over there stayed with it until that water went over, and he decided that as soon as the water went over, he could go home, go to bed, that the dam was going to stand the torrent of water that came. You can see right there, it said 48 hours. There's the 27th, so it was just a week later. You can see the water coming up and over. It came up so fast, they lost quite a bit of equipment that they thought they had time to get out of the way, that it flooded and washed downstream. There's some of the original order forms for the original generation in the dam was 25 cycle. What we use nowadays is 60 cycle. when Thomas Edison first started the electric generation, it was 25 cycle, and so that's what they installed in this, and it kind of lost favor as 60 cycle came on, but the original generation of the dam is 25 cycle. If you've been inside of the dam, you notice this as you first walk in, there's the 25 cycle bays that we call them. If not, that's the equipment they were putting in. Control boards. We'll go through a little bit of the repairs just so you can see some of the evolution of it. In 1916, I think it was, I've got some pictures, I'm pretty sure that's right. There was a huge flood that came down the White River, and it eroded when the water fell over the top of the power site, it eroded the surface behind it, and it actually, the dam gave about 9 inches, and they had to come back in after that and do some repair work, and you're seeing that in 22. Most everything you see, there is some steam, mules and that type of thing, new things, and a lot of hand labor. I thought that was an interesting one. That almost has to be dynamite going off. I don't know how she'd get a cloud in the air like that. To get a picture taken with the photography they had back then would have been tough, I would have thought. We repaired the spillway in 1940. There was a lot of people, if you've lived around here, that I started to work with when I first came to the dam. Theron Holden and Johnny Wilson and Red Hartman and all had started when this repair work took place in 1940. That's when they started to work for Empire. Here's what really the inside of the powerhouse looks like today. They came in Empire bought the dam in 1927. They realized that 60 cycle was probably going to be the type of generation that needed to be in it. So they took the 25 cycle power out and put 60 cycle in. And really those are the same generators that we're setting there today that we work with. That's what a turbine looks like. That's a 1930 vintage turbine. We've changed those out starting in 01 for 4 years, changed one a year. Here's the protection when they built those shoals. They protected the back of the dam. This is where they were building the wall behind us. We automated the dam. We used to have operators in the dam, automated it in the mid-90s. So it's all remotely controlled and computer controlled. And it's kind of interesting to think that something that old is that modern also, but it works real well. Here's what the new turbines look like. They were stainless. We put in new gates in 2011. If you've been around here long, you remember us pulling flashboards and having to pull the lake and have it down for 2 or 3 days after every big high water and having to go back out there and build the flashboards back on. And I don't know how many times, probably 20 times, and not that many, 15 times since I've been there that we had to do that. So we finally came back in and spent about $2 million and put gates on top of it. So now we can just lower the gates. We had them down, 2 weekends ago when we had a big 2.5 inch rain all of a sudden. That was an interesting project to get built. Okay, now we'll go into floods, do a little bit of it. This is Branson. You can see the old Branson Bridge, that what I call it the bottom of 7 Fall Hill that comes across there in where the landing would be now, or coming up the hill, the flood of 16. Bridge that we had pictures of a while ago. There's the railroad bridge as it washed out during that flood. Another picture of Branson. I looked through and didn't have any Hollister picture. I understand the crowd I'm standing here talking to, but I didn't have any Hollister picture. After the flood of 16, they drained the lake to check the structure of the dam. That's when I was talking about the dam actually gave. And so you see what the White River looked like after the water had been up, and now they lowered it back down to check the dam. And this would have been just below Branson. Here's a flood of 27, which is the second biggest flood we've ever had. Flooded the powerhouse. You can see the bridge in question had washed out by then. And that's the old bridge that they ended up building the new arched concrete bridge to replace. I'm taking too much time, but an interesting story about that is if any of you knew Doug Mankey, that was a lawyer around Taney County for years and years, and probably the first, well, not probably, was the first lawyer in Taney County. He told me that was the first thing he'd ever taken to the Supreme Court. Empire built that bridge to, as they built the dam, or Ozark Power and Water Company. And when it washed out, the county went to the Empire said, hey, you need to build it back. And the Empire said, no, we built it and gave it to you. I guess it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And Doug was the county's lawyer, so he went with it. And he said that was the first one we'd ever lost, too. But I guess Empire won it, and the county had to replace the bridge. So kind of neat. There's a story of that flood. And then this is the largest flood that we've seen. To give you an example, the flood that we had in 11, which was a huge flood, we had 11 foot of water going over power site. This is right at 20 foot of water going over. So we aren't taxing it as far as what it can stand, even though it's as old as it is, it still will stand a lot of flood. This is old town, downtown Branson, if you're familiar with it, and that's after the water had receded quite a lot. The old hotel there in Reading, the water was in the second story windows of that hotel when it was at its peak, which would have been way above the railroad. And postcard that was there, 56 flood. Kind of another picture there was Table Rock. You had one of those when the flood hit in 56, they worked through building Table Rock and that water going over it. There's your old 80 floods. Here's what flashwords looked like after they were tore off. And as we were building them back. That was kind of an interesting one. That's walking under the dam. The way you access the powerhouse normally is you walk under the dam to power site, and that's how you get into it. This is the flood of 11. There's the Bass Pro dock that came floating down, and then this was just destroyed. That's the back side of the dam. The dam, just to give you a little bit more history about it, or a little bit more facts about it. We are regulated by a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We hire an independent engineer and firm to come in every 5 years and inspect it to make sure that it's still stable in there. It's still, in fact, they're coming next Tuesday, that every inspection and they have found no problems with it, which is an amazing thing after 100 years. But, hopefully it'll be there many more years. I've always get the question, how long will it last? As long as we repair it and take care of it, it'll probably be our lifetimes anyway. No doubt there has to be a life to it. That's pretty well. And I think that's the end of them. Like I said, if you get a chance, come over and join us June the 7th. We'll we've talked to the White River Historic people and the Taney County people. We'll try to have a lot of this type of presentation and a lot more history. And if you've got any history that we can use during that, we'd love to show it or pictures or stories or whatever. Thank you.
Yeah, before you leave, does anybody have any questions about the power site dam? Questions? Good. I didn't want you to go because I have something that I would like to present to you. And since we know that the power site dam is going to be 100 years old in June, I'd like to read this little proclamation. And since you are representing the dam, I would like to present that to you, and I'll just start off doing a little reading here. It said, whereas Powerside Dam site has been under construction for a hydroelectric power dam as far back as 1901, when local businesses have considered the site for that purpose, and in the first decade of the 20th century, the Empire District Electric Company had purchased a site in the vicinity of Forsyth, Missouri, with intentions of construction of a hydroelectric power facilities. On February 4th, 1911, President William Howard Taft signed the bill authorizing the construction of Powerside Dam. And the people of the time hailed the prospect of a great water power plant on the White River as having the potential to create a wonderful lake with electricity for light, heat, and power. Hollister will be the magic city of the Ozarks, the pleasure resort par excellent, and the manufacturing city of renown, and such vision and acts by the founding fathers of the nation of this area have built a region of unique quality and character, and Powerside Dam is celebrating its 100th anniversary as one of the centerpieces of the Ozarks regional legacy, bringing electricity, prosperity, and an enhanced quality of life to our residents and our region. Now therefore, I, David G. Tate, Mayor, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the ordinance of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim the day of June 7th, yeah, got that right, 2013, the Powerside Dam Recognition Day in Hollister, Missouri, and call upon the people of this city to observe the day with an appreciative appropriation. And witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 3rd day of May in the year of our Lord 2013, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 237th. So, you get that? Thank you very much. Give a round of applause for them. Okay, we're not done yet. No, you're not getting off that easy. Okay, you've dedicated 41 years of your life to providing service to this area, and well, I just want to recognize you for that. And so I have this little proclamation that I would like to read. And it starts as, whereas the City of Hollister, Missouri places a high value on such personal traits as dedication, perseverance, and selfless service, and such traits contributed to 41 years of distinguished service to Empire District Electric and to the residents of this region, and contributions both in an Empire staff capacity and as a consultant to local government, contributions significantly to the improved quality of life for the area's residents, and aforesaid achievements exemplify the goal of all community leaders and identify the accomplishments of a specific individual. And the actions of such an individual, Mr. Thomas D. Snyder, are in keeping with the finest traditions of service, bringing honor not only upon himself, but also Empire District Electric, the Ozark region, and the state of Missouri. Now therefore, I, David G. Tate, Mayor by virtue of the authority vested in me by the ordinance of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim the day of May 3rd, 2013, as Tom Snyder Recognition Day. In the Hollister, Missouri, call upon the people of the city to observe the day with an appropriation, and witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 3rd day of May in the year of our Lord 2013, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 237th. So with that, thank you so much. We appreciate your service. Hold on. Photo op. Okay. Take time. Okay, now you did speak for a few minutes. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before I let you go?
Only one thing, and I should have started off. My wife Melody's here, and she's been through all the same things, and fighting floods, and up in the middle of the night, and all those kind of things that I did, and I surely do appreciate that. Appreciate it.
It's just really interesting that what a project can do for a county, Southwest Missouri. And you know, when PowerSite first got here, that brought electricity to the area, and very much appreciative. And I do appreciate my electric bill not being as high as other people's. I'm sure some of you do too. We won't mention the other guys. Any of them are here? Yeah, okay. Okay, now what we're going to do is I have some introductions, and I'm going to ask these folks to come up and tell us a little bit about who they are and a little bit about the history. And there's three people, and one of them is Miss Carol Mavis, and I'll have her come up here in a minute, Mr. Clarence Bleak. Now there's somebody else in here, and you know, I don't exactly know where that person is, but I know that they're around here somewhere. And all right, I tell you, it's kind of bad when you have part-timers. But am I missing somebody? Did somebody miss their cue? That's your cue. You're not ready? Well, maybe the cue's not ready. Would you like for me to jump ahead? Okay, on which part? Change your hat. And before you stand up, let me go. Oh, there's one other person I forgot. I wonder who that could be. Cue. Stall. Well, did you hear the one about? I know what you were doing. You was eating that dessert.
Got it. And only you can get ahead of me on that.
Oh, no, you beat me to it. I'll make up for lost time, though. Well, but while we're waiting, let me tell you just a little bit about my hat, okay? For my Hatitude, when I started college here back in 1973, I was called School of the Ozarks, I had bought my first pair of bib overalls. And I paid 25 cents at the clothing com. And this blue stuff, not the stripy stuff, but the blue stuff is material from my very first pair of bib overalls. And a young lady that was a home ec major made this for me. And so this hat is 40 years old. And I thought, well, you know, I don't have that first pair of bib overalls because I'm wearing it. And this pair of bib overalls is probably much larger than the first pair of bib overalls that I had. But I always tell everybody I'm twice the man I used to be. And, so with that, are we ready yet? Okay, cue. And who are you, ma'am?
I'm Mrs. Dwight Ray Ford.
Well, come on up here.
My given, I'm going to try to talk right out here.
All right.
Can you hear me? You can. Yeah, well, my given name is Reba, but only my sister Mabel can call me Reba. And the children, well, they call me Mama Ford. So if there's any children out there, you can call me Mama Ford. Well, I'm kind of late tonight because I had the mason jars and tomatoes last night. I planted Rutgers and Oxards this year, and I had to check them because we're, I guess, supposed to have freeze again tonight. But I just got back from Dallas. This year I was elected to the White River Boosters League as their president. And a part of what I'm supposed to do is go to Dallas Sports Show and hand out these. Here's what we handed out. We handed out these brochures, these big full color brochures that the White River Boosters League printed up for us. And my daughter-in-law, Olive, she went with me so she could help drive 46 Packard down there. And my little grandson, Dwight, he's 7 years old, he went with us, and oh my, he was so grown up handing out those brochures. Well, their ad campaign this year was the Magic Circle of Fun. And what that was about is it's 40 miles around the Lake Taneycomo, Hollister, Forsyth, Rockaway Beach, and Branson, and features the Shepherd Hills country as well. We just have all kinds of things to do in our part of the country. We have 4 boat races a year on Taneycomo. Oh boy, those boys can make some noise when they get going. Oh, by the way, do you like my hat? I just love all these folks in these hats. I'm telling you, we got the Hatitude going on, don't we? Well, anyway, we got the boat races. We've got car races out west of Branson. It's out by the Force Center, by the lookout tower. Well, then we got the swimming going on, nice warm water. We got fishing going on. You can get in a boat and go down the river and just have a swell old time. And then we've got, that's what we've got. The boat races, the car races. We've got the Shepherd of the Hills cabin in the Shepherd of the Hills country. And you can go out there and see Lizzie McDaniels and have lunch out there with her. We've got just bear with me. My heart's beating so fast. Oh, we got the golf range. You know what we tried to explain to these people, that you can come in to Hollister by train. You can come by automobile now. My goodness, I can't believe the roads they're building in here. And you can come by air. We have an airstrip out west of Branson. And then there's an airstrip up here on the east part of the county, out there at the golf ranch, and you can go learn to play golf or brush up on your golf game while you're down here, and fly in there. And most people, when they fly in there, they come over and stay in Hollister, and we just have all kinds of really nice places to stay now. We used to have all these tourist camps in there, and now we've gotten these nice motels and things like that. Well, you know, my heart's beating so fast. My husband and I, Dwight Rayford, we came here right after the railroad was built, and just newlywed sweethearts. Oh, we just had the best time coming down. I had just read the Shepherd of the Hills book and read about the beautiful scenery and the beautiful country and wanted to see the people that it talked about. And so I was all excited. And then my husband, he loved to fish and float. He loved to float the white. Well, he could get in a boat with all his fishing gear, go down to Cotter, Arkansas. It was a two-week trip. Be on the train and be back to Hollister in 2 hours. Now imagine that. Here we are in this remote part of the country where most of the time you're on a mule or had a wagon, and you can do such as that and get to enjoy this wild, unblemished country and come back to Hollister in 2 hours. Well, we just began to come down here, and we found out my young son at 3 years old had hay fever, and if we would come down here and stay during ragweed season and go home after frost, that he would be completely well when he was here. Well, I knew about being well because when we first got here, I started taking walks over the Artesian well when at the Mineral Springs. While my husband would be gone, I'd be reading books. I like to read Cosmopolitan magazine mostly, but anyway, in a week's time, I was done with all my female maladies. I was well. So that was nothing new to me whenever he got where he would just be well. So we kept coming down. Most of the time we'd stay up on Taney Hill, and then we'd be able to walk down to the restaurants that we had. And my goodness, we started having electricity, and it would just glow. The stones on the building would glow in the evening when the lights would come on in those buildings down on the front street by the railroad track. Well, then, I'm out of breath. Whew. Anyway, we were able to buy a couple of little lots down by the railroad track in the Shore Acre subdivision that had been starting to develop, and we were able to build our home in 26 and 27. In the meantime, Pete Kite had built Shore Acres modern furnished cottages on the lake. Oh my, he had a big old red sign out there. It was just beautiful, and people could come down here. They could walk down to the cottages, or they could have a taxi bring them down, or maybe bring their luggage after they'd walk down. It had electricity, a 3-burner hot point stove, hot and cold water. Now imagine these people have come down on it from the city where it's dirty, stinky, hot, and they get on a train. They're full of soot because they got the windows open because it's so hot. And they can come down here to the cottages, have hot and cold water, had kerosene hot water heaters that would burn all day long on one little jar of kerosene. Now they thought they had come someplace when they were in this paradise that had all the modern things to go along. Now we still had ice boxes because we didn't have home refrigerators until 1927, and it is a while longer after that before we got them in this part of the country. Well, anyway, in the meantime, Pete Kites built a stone house over there on the Turkey Creek Point. It's made of all stone, and I mean, it must have taken an army to get those rocks out of Turkey Creek to build that house. I don't know how they mix that concrete. I just didn't even want to be there for that. And then Fred Skinner, he bought on Echo Point, and his house was covered with stucco from the awnings of the button barge that was on the lake. They would harvest the mussels out of the lake, and they had a machine on there that would press buttons out, and they would ship these things to New York City and places beyond. It was just something else. Well, then Pete Kite, he had to move on and do other things, so we had the opportunity to buy the cabins. And I said to my husband, we just need to do this. We need to be down here where Kenneth isn't sick and we can raise him, and this is just what we need to do. Well, we were able to do that. So here's what would happen. Our guests would come down there. My friend Sparky, Oh yeah, Hurley. That's my teleprompter. Hurley, she goes by Sparky. She would pick our guests up and bring them down to the cottages and stand around and visit with them for a while and tell them about the Shepherd Hills country and take them on out there maybe the next day or one day when they were there visiting. And the other thing that would happen, this was just a wonderful thing. The excursion boats would come right up to our dock, and they would pick passengers up, either our guests or maybe other people that walked down there and knew when the boat was coming in. Chris Meadows and his brother would run the boat. Chris was the captain, and Wade Meadows he took care of the concessions. Well, you could buy soda for a nickel, or maybe for 25 cents more, you could buy something a little stronger, but I never promised that. Well, they could get on the boat, Sadie H. It was double-decker, had a band on it. They'd get on there, dance on the way down, get down to the, you want me to shut up, okay?
No, ma'am. I'll never tell a woman to shut up.
Well, anyway, it was just a wonderful thing. They could have an evening like that and come on back and enjoy the rest of their stay at our resort. I just want to say this. I really appreciate that you all came here tonight to remember all the people that helped to build our town and build a foundation for tourism that as it exists today. I think maybe we were in the good old days, but neither here nor there. But we really appreciate it. And you might just keep your eye open and watch for my full figure and my big hat, because I might be back with just a little more attitude.
Nancy and the Ford family, we go back quite a few years. I can remember the first time meeting them. It was Winter Park, top of a mountain. I was having difficulty getting down, and Nancy encouraged me. She said, Dave, if you can get down to the bottom of this mountain without hurting yourself, I have something for you. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, the next person I would love to have come up here is Miss Carol Mavis, the granddaughter to Maddie Color from Auto Color. I used to play Auto Color, and it was a privilege to do that. And Otto Kohler was a strongman, Barnum and Bailey, strongman, and he was Hollister's Information Bureau, Kohler Creek, Kohler Dane. So I'm going to turn this over, and she's going to tell you a little bit about those fine folks. So nice to see you.
Miss Maddie Adams, a descendant of the Adams family who came over on the Mayflower, whose paternal grandfather owned a fleet of whaling ships and built a big house in San Francisco across the street from her mother's family home. When Maddie was 5 years old, her mother was permanently confined to a TB sanitarium. Now in those days, that was basically a death sentence. No contact with anyone ever again. Families were told to go on as if they had died. Maddie's father moved to New York City with his 2 young children shortly after that, where he owned a manufacturing business. Maddie learned to adapt, and 10 years later, her father died of TB. Ironically, her mother lived probably another 20 years in the sanitarium. Miss Maddie Adams, 15 years old and no employable household skills, turned her talents to Broadway. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? I cried the whole night long. I'll do the cooking, honey. I'll pay the rent. I know I done you wrong. I can hear the director say, yeah, get the girl with the big voice and the wavy hair. In the good old summertime, in the good old summertime, strolling down the shady lane with your baby mine. You hold her hand and she holds yours, and that's a very good sign that she's your tootsie wootsy in the good old summertime. The picture on the screen is from the entertainment page of the Morning Telegraph in New York City in April of 1903, promoting Maddie's role in Sergeant Kitty. Give my regards to Broadway, remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. And if you see the resemblance, it is because she's my grandmother. And it's sort of strange. I look more like her than anyone in my family. And I have a daughter who looks like her. Maddie's beautiful large hat could have been made of feathers, frothy tulle, lace, or possibly some beads, or maybe even some pearls. Later, Maddie may have worn that on the streets of Hollister as she would whistle along, and who knows what else she might have done. I love you truly, truly. Maddie Adams married Otto Kohler in 1908 and performed with him all over the eastern U.S. as Kohler and Adams. She sang and played trumpet and drums, oftentimes wearing a uniform and a hat. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag. Shine on, harvest moon up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June, or July. Maddie and Otto found paradise in Hollister, Missouri. Kohler and Adams performed their copyrighted vaudeville acts until the end of 1911, when they and entertainment continued to be important to them. Miss Maddie Adams became Maddie Kohler, but continued to dress in her stage costumes, probably because they were the clothes that she owned. Otto and Maddie built a life in the city that they loved, Hollister, very likely their only home.
By the way, Clarence, are we 94 years old today? Or not 94 today, but 94? 92? Trying to rush things. Get Mary in. 90 still alive. Better than
Is it on now?
You're on.
Good. Sounds better. Thank you, Mayor, and it's great to be here with you all this evening. I'm Clarence Plead. I was born here, grew up east of town, and I've had a wonderful life here. Went to high school and here, graduated in 1938, and just wanted to tell you a little about my life and things that happened over the years. I started school in 1926, I think it was, and a little one-room schoolhouse, and I doubt if any of you ever remembers that because it's been gone so many years. It was along the creek. You cross the bridge from downtown Hollister and toward the steps that go up to the old school. Turn right, and it was between that corner and the one house that sits over there. And then after grade school, I moved up on top to a three-room school, and that school is gone. The old well is still out in front of it there, and I notice it every time I go by. Had a great time there. The high school wasn't built yet, and had to go through the ninth grade there, and then over to high school. Had a great time there, played in the band. Most of you remember Ivor Gibson. Ivor and I played trombone in the band at Hollister, and it was kind of a give and take. He'd be the first chair one week, and I'd be there the next week. So we had a great time there. And after that, worked around different places. I worked for one of my uncles, had a general store there in Hollister, and worked here at the School of the Ozarks before it became a college, and along with my dad and my brother. But several people enters into the history of Hollister. Like Carol said, it was Mr. and Mrs. Kohler that I remember so well. We used to go there. My mother liked to visit with Miss Kohler, and we'd play around there and have a good time. And I've got a list here. Would you all mind if I sat?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we hadn't had so many people that entered into this thing. First, did you all know that at one time there was a cotton platform along the railroad down by where the feed mill is? And there was a gin over at Kirbyville, I believe, and another one at MINSTRIES, and they'd raise a little cotton and have it gin and haul it into the platform there and ship it out by rail. We also had cattle stockyards down there, and herds would be driven in there quite often and shipped out by rail, and that was a great thing. The old highway used to come across the creek there and up the main street, Downing Street, and so many times we'd all gather along that street. It's more narrow now was more narrow then than it is now. They didn't have parking against the curb, it was just parallel parking back then. And let's see, there was, of all of the general stores there in town, Bill Stottle had a two-story general store right there at the foot of the hill where you turn off the highway into town. And then on the corner of Downing Street was Andy Shelton's store. In 1937, Bruce Pemberton built the store right at the end of Downing Street, looking south. Ely Sod came there in the early 30s and built the store. The building is still there. It's kind of at the south end of the main part of Downing Street. And then I did get a job working at the English Inn, and I washed dishes there for Russ Bain, and I noticed Russ's pictures out in the hall there as I came in. And the bank was on the corner, and I had an aunt that worked at that bank, and there's a little story that'll get a laugh, I think. Two guys came in one day and robbed the bank, driving a Model T, and they went on out south somewhere, and either ran out of gas or the car stalled on them, and they took off with the brush. We had a sheriff, Riley Thompson. Mr. Thompson was a likable fellow, everybody liked him. And he finally found the car, and he came back and put the word all over town. Now, those of you that have cars, be sure and lock them up, because they'll be back tonight and steal one of them. Well, Clyde Jennings was the postmaster, and he had one in his barn, and he locked the rear wheels with a chain. My Uncle Allen lived farther out, and he didn't have a barn for his, but he took the 4 little coils out from under the dash. And during the night, these guys did come in. They tried to steal Mr. Jennings' car, and it was locked with a chain. He went out to Uncle Allen's, and it wouldn't start, but they knew what was wrong, so they go back down to Clyde Jennings' place, steal his coils, and put them in Uncle Allen's car and drove away. He never saw the car again. But there's so many people that enter into the history of our town here. I mentioned the school here when it was a high school. We had Dr. Crockett. He was a great fellow, a minister, a Presbyterian minister. Dr. Good was the president of the school here. Walter Burnett was our marshal downtown. Walter was a fine fellow, a real strong man. And he never carried a gun that I knew of. And there was a couple of pretty tough characters that come over now and then from Branson, and they were going to tear up things. And Walter would warn them one time, now, fellas, have your fun, but stay out of mischief. So they get a little rough, and he never did have to handcuff them or anything. He'd just take them to the arm, lead them up to Pat Kenner's office. He was the justice of the peace at that time. And they'd find him $1 or $2, and he'd say, no, I'm going to get them out of town. He'd put them on the horse and away they'd go. But all those things I remember, and a lot more, but I don't want to bore you with all of it. It's nice being here with you all, and my family and friends have made my life so wonderful that I come back every chance I get, and each time I want to tromp around over these hills. But it's just great, and I thank you all so much.
And just real quickly, if I could, how many people have been down here 60 years or more? Raise your hand. I just need a hand raise. I'll get you here in a second. Okay? So look around, and some of these people that have been here, if you have an opportunity while you're here, feel free to go visit and listen to some of the stories. We had something over here we wanted to do?
We have a number that Carol is going to sing for you.
Okay. Would you like the band to accompany you with this?
This is Sail Along Silvery Moon. Sail along, silvery moon.
Sing along if you don't.
Trail along Lover's Lane. Sail along, silvery moon, to my love again. Sail along, silvery moon. Trail along Lover's Lane. Sail along, silvery moon, to my love again. We were sailing along on Moonlight Bay. We could hear the voices singing. They seemed to say, you have stolen my heart. Now don't go.
You have nothing you'd like to say? Happy to be here? All right. Peterson Band, take it away, guys.
Thank you. shepherd for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to go to heaven when you die? Now if you walk each narrow way, you know sometimes the devil stray, the shepherd now on heaven's throne need me to lead them home. Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty, for the good God Almighty, for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to go to heaven when you die? Now Jesus was the Son of God. He died, and on that cruel cross He died for you. Oh, He died for me, that we might not be lost. Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty, for the good God Almighty, for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to go to heaven? Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty, for the good God Almighty? He's the good God Almighty. Don't you want to be a shepherd for the good God Almighty? Don't you want to go to heaven when you die?
Guys, can I have your attention for half a second? Let's give a round of applause for the staff Peter Center. One more for the Peter family. And our lovely speakers. Not these speakers, these speakers. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out. Look forward to seeing us doing this again. Y'all drive home safely.